everybody. And you're about to go live on Facebook. You are now live on Facebook.
I'll be here with you, Charlie. Alicia, and we'll be answering your questions live on the air. It's time for the Body Price to have honest, relevant conversations around sex, love, right here, and relationships. Let's get free.
And the new 103.1 FM WGRI Cincinnati.
I stand here today as a product of Dr. King's civil rights movement in the trenches of the battleground state of Ohio, city of Cincinnati, and the brother of civil rights activists Dr. Stephen Reece Sr. and the late Barbara Howard Reece, who marched for me 50 years ago.
A champion for voting rights.
We're gonna bring you people that know about business. We're gonna bring you people that know about what's going on in the tech. Put some soul into this whole tech thing that's going on.
She's a fighter for the people.
Welcome, Reverend Al Sharpton, to the show.
Congratulations on your show. She's authentic.
We're bringing Joe Madison, known as the Black Eagle.
Congratulations on having the show. Nothing is more important than the local programs that engage our communities.
She's a proud HBCU graduate. It's time for Alicia Reece's Soul Food, Food for the Soul, on Cincinnati's 24-hour urban gospel connection, Inspiration 1050 AM and 103.1 FM WGRI.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm trying to make sure I got this going good. We're on YouTube. I don't see us on our Facebook Live. Let me double check here. Yeah, we're not on our Facebook Live, so maybe we can get Matt back in. But hello, everybody. Welcome to Alicia Reece Soul Food. It's International Women's Day, and I'm excited. It's our time. It's our day all over. Not just in your neighborhood. It's not just Women's Day in your neighborhood. It's not just Women's Day in your church. It's not just Women's Day at your job. It's not just Women's Day in your city. It's not just Women's Day in your state. It's not just Women's Day in your country. It's worldwide. We're going global. Women International Day today. So give a big shout out for the women. I'm telling you, that's holding it down. Been holding it down, and a lot of times holding it down with not all of the equal opportunities. Certainly, we're still fighting for equal pay. We're still fighting for so many things as it relates to equality. You know, we're still not making the same amount of money, doing the same amount of work, or sometimes more, and not making the same amount of money. Let's see, my headset's here is a mess. For those who are watching me. Okay, got that together. So we are trying to work on our Facebook Live for those who are used to joining us on Facebook Live. We're trying to get it together. But we are on our YouTube channel. So those who are on YouTube, we're asking that you subscribe. And we're still working on hopefully getting on Facebook Live. So today we're going to have an exciting show. We've got Annie Ruth coming in the house. Annie Ruth is coming in the house. We've got a special tribute that I'm going to be giving to a special someone on her special birthday on this International Women's Day. We're going to give you some information about a job fair. If you got youth and you want them to have a job this summer, we've got some special information coming up. But we're going to take a quick break, try to get our Facebook Live page up and going. Take a quick break. We'll come right back after this.
Okay, what's going on?
It's not on Facebook. Let's see.
Have you or someone you know been in a car, motorcycle, or trucking accident? Time is of the essence. You may be hurt and not even know it. Call the Cochran firm now in Cincinnati. Founded over 40 years ago by Johnny L. Cochran Jr. The Cochran firm is one of the premier law firms in the country. They're committed to being your advocate if you've been a victim of a serious injury, car, motorcycle, or trucking accident. Choose a successful, reputable law firm. Don't wait. Call the Cochran firm right now.
I'm live now.
381-HURT. That's 381-HURT. Online at CochranOhio.com.
Eastern Personal Services Incorporated, located at 619 Central Avenue, is looking for you. Their clients are looking for awesome workers with great work ethic, good work history, and outstanding skills. Are you a professional in healthcare, have clerical or administrative skills, hospitality, customer care, industrial, general labor? Are you in construction or a driver? If so, call their job line at 513-230-5034. That's 513-230-5034. Eastern Personnel Services Incorporated is an equal opportunity employer.
Okay, now we're back with Alicia Reece Soul Food, and we're on Facebook Live. Now, I had so many people upset, like, are you on today? Are you on today? Yes, we are on. So we're on Facebook Live. We're on our YouTube page, and we are on the air, 103.1 FM. I'm telling you, with all this technology, I mean, you have to be everywhere. And we're going to even add Instagram, to it. We don't want anyone left behind. Someone says, wait a minute. I want to listen on my job, but I can't turn it on. But I got my ear sets. You can go to inspiration1050.com. We're streaming live. For those who are saying, wait a minute, I want to see it on YouTube. I got so many people say, I need you on YouTube. I need you on YouTube. We're on YouTube now. Reece Talk Media, ReeceTalk Media. You can subscribe to Reece Talk Media. We're just getting started. So don't look for a whole lot of videos yet, but that's where our videos are going to be. We got our own channel. Then for people say, wait a minute, I'm on Facebook. I want to see it on Facebook. I want to see you in the studio. Okay, we're on Facebook Live. Alicia Reece Soul Food. Alicia Reece Soul Food. Like our page. And then for those that, hey, I'm listening to you on the radio. Hey, you know what to do. You got to turn the audio up and just cruise with us for a little while as we take 1 hour of soul food and we try to fill you up with information, inspiration, and resources. So if you get one of those things, I think it's great. If you get all three, you've gotten the buffet. So it is International Women's Month. And some people say, oh, my goodness, what does that mean? That means women all over the world. It's our day. And of course, the whole month of March is Women's Month. So you'll see and you'll hear a lot about extraordinary, outstanding women who are doing extraordinary and outstanding things. I want to take a moment to just give a shout out to all the women out there that are holding things down every day. And we're still in a society where there is the equal pay is not there. We're doing the work, but we're not getting paid the same. We're doing more, but we're not getting what we're supposed to have. And because it's International Women's Day, I wanted to bring a woman that has international acclaim. The great artist Annie Ruth will be joining us in a moment. But I do want to say I just came from the Convention Center, Duke Energy Convention Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, my hometown. And every year I have been speaking to youth and trying to connect them to youth employment. It's just who I am. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't need a title. I don't need a position. It's just, this is what I believe. This is who I am. I believe that we've got to get our job program to our young people before the street program gets to our young people. And so there's a race. So for governments who say, well, we're going to cut, funding for youth and everything, but we want crime to go down. We're going to cut money for youth employment, but we want the youth off the street. Well, I suggest that you invest in our young people through employment opportunities. Now, what does a summer job do for you? Yeah, it gives them a little money in their pocket. Yeah, it keeps them busy, but it also begins to expose them to not only if they want to work on these jobs when they get older as a career, but maybe they want to own the company. So they get the exposure to employment. They get exposure to executives. This is the best mentorship program you could have, and they get a check. And so I've always been a fighter for young people employment opportunities. I created my own paid internship program when I was on Cincinnati City Council 20 years ago. And I was able to fight to get more money for young people. So 2,000 youth were employed during the summer months. I went on as a state representative. They cut the 15-year-olds. Can you believe we don't want to fund 15-year-olds to get any money? I said, excuse me? No. My program got to get to the streets before the street program get to our kids. And so was able to get an additional $2 million put out there for youth to be employed. And so I see that as the best mentorship program, the best leadership development program, because these are the people that write your letters to go to college, write you recommendations for other jobs. These are the people you form relationships with. You start to look at what is it that you really want to do in life. And just because you do it for the summer doesn't mean that's going to be what you're going to do for the rest of your life. But you start to see what's going on. So this weekend, I had a chance, as I always have. I was a speaker at the mayor's youth employment event, and so it goes on again tomorrow. Went on today. It's going on today, and I believe it ends today at 2:00, and it'll be back on. Tomorrow, Saturday. Be back on Saturday. Starts at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday. So come on out on Saturday. I'll be back there. Bring youth, get them employed, get them connected. I was there. They had a lot of companies there ready to employ youth, to mentor youth, and to help with youth development. So I want to make sure that you know about that. I want you to say, I heard about it after it was over. No, you can get out there on this Saturday, and you can bring your children to this event for the Mayor's Youth Employment Summit. It's happening at the Duke Energy Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, downtown. It's the convention center, and it's on the second floor, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that. Third, I want to make a special shout out to a very special woman on this International Women's Day, and she happens to be my sister. Her name is Tiffany. Tiffany is my sister, and I just want to tell her happy birthday. Today is her birthday. It's her birthday weekend, and I want to tell her happy birthday. She is a mother. She's a wife, and I've seen her. She coaches her kids. You know, she's been a basketball coach for her kids. She's been a team mom for different activities. She has one in dance, one in sports. She has her son who's in technology. And he's an artist. And so I see her and her husband, LaDante, running back and forth all over for the children. But family is first. And she is my baby sister. And, you know, she's a phenomenal person. She's never been recognized or gotten awards. I'm always out in the kind of the public eye. She doesn't like the public eye, but she's a worker. She's a worker bee. And you know, she has a associate's, bachelor's, and a master's degree, and she's worked in nonprofit, corporate America, and the and government public sector, and she's committed to you. She's incredibly talented. She can organize. We call her the general. She's also the glue in our family. As our mother passed, she kind of like steps up. She's the youngest, but always wants to be everybody's mama in charge. But I just want to tell her, because we don't get a chance to tell her as much, that of course we love her, but I'm extraordinarily proud of her and how she's been able to be a leader on the job, in the community, in her own household. And I just want to tell her happy birthday. So we're going to say happy birthday to Tiffany. And I hope you join us in saying happy birthday. And it's a great time to have her birthday on the International Women's Day and Women's Month. So I'm just very, very proud of her. And I know if my mom was here, she would be extremely proud of everything that Tiffany has done and been a part of. And, you know, she's a team player. She's a leader. And like I said, she doesn't tap herself on the back. A lot of people walk past and don't even know that, you know, that's my sister, but she is a warrior, a general, and I'm very, very proud of her. Now, as we're moving on, as I talk about stories before the glory. I wanted to bring in Annie Ruth to the program. So Annie, I need you to come on over here.
Okay.
Hold on, I got to get your mic together.
All right, how's
Let's see, what are we on? Mic. And okay.
Testing.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So Annie Ruth is in the building. I wanted to bring her on camera. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out about Annie. Annie's on her way to Nigeria, but we're going to get the story for the glory. I mean, here's another woman. I just talked to you about my sister. She's always about helping other women. She's all about pushing other women up. I'm bringing Annie Ruth in. She's an extraordinary, world acclaimed artist, and all she does is honor women and recognize other women. But we're going to recognize her today. Well, we come right back on Alicia Reece Soul Food.
It's from the bottom up because nobody gave him it. He's our GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Whenever I need somebody to tell me the truth, he's the person that
You plug me in. I'm okay.
You're good.
Figured out a long time
I
ago.
just got to get
Greatest profession of all time. It's ownership. I don't get the damn credit of anybody.
She was always there to support us.
Probably the closest thing I can think of to being self-made.
From the bottom up, the Dr. Stephen Reece Sr. Story. Produced and directed by Alicia Reece. Available on YouTube. Eastern Personnel Services Incorporated, located at 619 Central Avenue, is looking for you. Their clients are looking for awesome workers with great work ethic, good work history, and outstanding skills. Are you a professional in healthcare? Have 513-230-5034. That's 513-230-5034. Eastern Personnel Services Incorporated is an equal opportunity employer.
Okay, we're back with Alicia Reece Soul Food, Food for the Soul. And in the studio, we have Annie Ruth in the house.
All right. You know what? It is great to be here.
Now, Annie, you know, this is soul food.
Yes.
So that means that we don't sugarcoat it. We put some hot sauce on it.
Okay.
And your career and your life story, I want you to be able to share that with folks. A lot of people just know the name, Annie Ruth. You know what I'm saying? You got the brand, Annie Ruth. And you honor so many women across the country. And I just want to start off, first of all, with so someone listening and then say, you know, I want to be I'm an artist, or I want to be an artist, or I can't make it work, or I want to make it work. Mm-hmm. How did Annie Ruth get started? How did you start with knowing that you are an artist?
You know, that's a good question. And I often honestly share that story that growing up, my mom battled with mental illness. And so from the time I was 3 years old, I can remember her. Back in our day, we would call them nervous breakdowns. I can remember her having nervous breakdowns. And for the longest, I thought I was going to be a doctor because in my mind, it was like, I'm going to be a doctor so I can make mama's nerves go up. Because, you know, being a child, you don't really understand the whole mental illness piece. And what I realized, it took some life-changing things in me to realize that the gift that God had given me would allow me to be that doctor to help people through my artwork, through the visual art, through the poetry. And I tell people, oftentimes my first art exhibit happened on the blank pages of our encyclopedias, our family's encyclopedia set. Because all of the blank pages, you know, in the beginning of the set, end of the set, I had drawn on all of those. And, you know, that was one time my mama did not whip my butt. She said, baby, you don't draw on this. And she got me some paper. But I can remember times when she wasn't lucid, where she wouldn't know me. And I'd come home and I'd show her a picture and she would always say encouraging words. That's pretty, baby. And I really realized that, okay, this is a gift. But I still wasn't on my track to be an artist until it was in my junior year in high school. I was in a car accident with my best friend at that time. Both our names were Annie. And we were on our way to a high school basketball game and we crashed on Central Parkway. That's where I got this scar on my lip. And at the point of will I live, will I die, I realized God has given me too much that I need to really focus on my art. And from then I kind of turn the tracks of things to really, really focus on building up, honing, polishing the gift that God had given me.
Wow. So, and it's funny because people say, what is this? You know, these days they say, what is an encyclopedia?
You know, they used to have those doormen, those encyclopedia salespeople would come to your door and sell the set, but yeah, and it wasn't a
They're
cheap
like,
set.
is that Wikipedia? What is this encyclopedia?
In the halls, I think they had like about at least 24 or 30 volumes in the set. Right. That's when you learned about stuff like world history and African culture and all that kind of. This was before the internet and all that. So I'm dating myself.
You're dating, and I don't know you. I don't know. I heard about the encyclopedia. I didn't know much of. Somebody told me there wasn't. No, just kidding, just kidding. Now, okay, so you got to go in there, and I'm gonna have you move over a little bit right here because I need to make sure people can see you on.
Right.
Okay. So Annie, you were drawing. Your mom said, "Hey, you found a way to brighten up her day."
Yeah, it brightened up. It did more than brighten up her day. And in this day, they call it arts and healing. It really was a healing vehicle for her. And at the same time, it was so therapeutic for me because, give you an example, sometimes when I was upset, either sad or mad or not understanding some of the dynamics of what was going on in my life, I would always come home and draw or paint. And the great thing, I tell people that this is one thing they don't know. In high school, I went to Aiken High School. They had
public school people, public school education.
I did a dual track because Aiken was very popular for a very great vocational program. They had a functioning auto body, they had a student store, dry cleaner, all that kind of stuff. Oh, wow. And they had a very strong college prep program. Mm. I was the only student who went to the principal and said, I want to go down both tracks. I want to go down the college prep track and I want to go down the commercial art track. And so I went down both tracks and actually started working professionally as a commercial artist in my junior year in high school.
Okay, now explain to people, what is a commercial artist?
Commercial artist is an artist that is producing work that is used in marketing and advertising. And so the art that you do there, of course, in the olden days, a lot of it was hand done. A lot of it's done now through computer graphics and clip art. But during that time, we were drawing and pasting and getting layouts ready for print reproduction all by hand, by cutting film. But I learned that they had it where you could compete against other schools across the state and across the country. So my first time flying was when I had won the state commercial art competition as a student and traveled to Atlanta, Georgia in 1981 to represent not only Cincinnati Public Schools, but the whole state of Ohio.
Wow. Now, when you got a chance to travel, now you're a professional commercial artist, right? So then what was your thought? What was the pattern? Okay, I did this. I came out of high school. I did this. I'm professional. Now what?
I actually did it before. I actually became professional before I left high school. So I was designing logos at a printing company. It's actually in Northside called Capizola Printing. Right there on Norton's Corner. And then the other piece is that I did my first year of college at the University of Cincinnati in their design, architecture, and art program. After that, I realized that it got expensive being an artist. A brush just for one paintbrush would cost $10. So the scholarships were not covering all of the costs. So I went into the U.S. Air Force Reserves. Wow. To help supplement my education. Got a guaranteed job as a graphic designer in the reserves. And that's when my international travel started occurring first within the military.
Wow. See, I think a lot of people probably didn't know Annie Ruth is in the military. We salute you. We salute. Thank you for your service to our country. So you go to the reserve, you're traveling abroad. Tell me now, what did you come out of, public school, you come out of, you didn't come from a rich background.
No, I did not come from a rich background by the least. Like my family dynamics was father left the home when I believe I was in the 3rd grade. So we have a mother that's battling with mental illness, raising 2 daughters during that time. And so there was a split there where I had to go live with my dad for a while. And the ugly part of that was he had a wife that just didn't get it. She didn't get me. So I tell people, this is a secret too. It's not a secret anymore. I tell you guys, I was a teenage runaway. And a teenage runaway with a purpose. I was in Atlanta. It wasn't working out. I'm like, I got to get back to mama's house. But when I went back to mama's house, I knew I had to come back, not as this wild, crazy teenager. I had to come back knowing that there's a plan. I've got the plan. She doesn't need any worries on her. And that's when I really laid out the plan with the commercial art and the college and kind of took that track. And so the military, after I got married young too, and took me to California. And that's where I actually finished my college education in California at National University.
Wow. Now, when you were, okay, you're in the military, so now you're doing international travel.
Yes.
Did that play a role on in terms of your being an artist? Or
it did, because I tell everybody, we have got to see the world in a broader spectrum than just Cincinnati. The reality of it is Cincinnati is a little slower than the rest of the world. And it's not an insult to Cincinnati, it's just the truth of what it is. And if you base your limited exposure of what you see in Cincinnati, you have no clue of what's going on out there in the rest of the world and even some of the faster states. California was so fast, but at the same time, it provided balance for me. You're seeing people from different walks of life, different cultures, and it opens your mind. So I started I was really connected with the church out there, started doing lots of Black history programs, looking into non-traditional ways to exhibit my art. A lot of times people will say, hey, I got some artwork. I'm trying to get in a gallery. I made my artistic venues happen by making them happen in community centers. Churches became galleries. Churches became arts centers for Black history programs. And so to me, I wasn't seeking necessarily for someone else to promote me. I start promoting myself even at that age.
That's some hot sauce. You hear that? She said, I didn't wait for someone else to promote me. Did you, one of the things, when did you feel like I'm an artist? Or did someone have to come and say, Annie Ruth, you're an artist? Or when did you declare I am an artist? I'm Annie Ruth. And like you said, you done figured out a way. I don't have to put a gallery, don't have to take my stuff. I'm coming through churches, community centers, and create my own gallery.
That fact that I'm an artist hit very young. I knew I had a gift. I knew it was precious. Give you an example. In the commercial art competition, I knew that the gift was something special. I said, I had those kind of conversations with God where we talk just like we talking here. And I said, God, I really want to win this commercial art competition. And he said to me, you won it. But just because I knew I won it doesn't mean I didn't have to do the work. So in the competition, we had testing. We had to actually create artwork. I did all that. And they were tallying up the scores. The judges, these were adults from the district and from the state. They're tallying up the scores. And during that time, it wasn't computer tally. It was hand tally. And they said, oh, this person is the winner. And so little Annie Ruth goes over to them. And I said, you have to count the scores again.
Wow.
Because you've made a mistake. Now, you already know. They was looking at me like, what is this arrogant?
Right.
And then one girl went off on me. She said, Annie, you won last year. I said, look, count the scores again. You announce somebody else is the winner, but they're not the winner. And they counted those scores again, and they indeed had miscounted the scores. Now, the lesson in this is when you know that you know what you got, you put in the work and you do it, and the faith, that's called faith in action.
Yes.
If I had not said count the scores again, I would not have traveled to Atlanta to represent the state of Ohio and all those places. Look at all the opportunity missed if I would have shrugged back by not knowing that what I have is gold. I know that what I have is gold.
Wow. So we're talking International Women's Day, and we have Annie Ruth, the artist, who already declared, she wasn't waiting on somebody to declare that she was the artist. She said, I am an artist. And had the confidence in herself. Now, okay, so you went worldwide. What made you, after you came out the military, what made you come back to Cincinnati? You talked about California, obviously. Now, before we go to that, let's go back to California.
Okay.
A lot of people pack up, because I don't want to, give this impression. They'll pack up and say, you got to run to California. And they ain't got no plan. nowhere to stay. And you hear about the good stories of the people who were homeless, or they were working at, waiting tables, and now they're getting their Oscars or what have you. But you don't hear about the people that went over there and was homeless, waiting tables, and they didn't make it, and they ate them up and spit them out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that with artists? Because a lot of times people say, well, to be an artist, you got to be, you're going to be broke.
Well, for me, it was a combination. So it wasn't just my art that sent me to California. It was also the military. And then during that time, my husband was active duty Marine Corps. So I was actually able to take my assignment as a reservist and then just transfer like you would in corporate America. Okay. But it was the experience in California where I finished my education. I then switched my major to interdisciplinary studies with a business minor. So not only do I have my art, I'm also getting trained in business and the education part of the art too. And so we were out there about seven years. What made me come back, or what kind of pushed my decision to come back to Cincinnati, was I was raising a family. So I was a young mother. And remember, I told you the pace was a little bit fast. It was a little bit too fast for me for raising children, I thought. Because it was like where we're at, there was a lot of gang activity in some of the southern San Diego counties and stuff like that. And I didn't want my children to have to deal with that. So came back here in 1990 to Cincinnati. And here's the other tip too. Remember I said, you're not waiting on someone else to do something for you. So my first marketing strategy was during the early years when City of Cincinnati were doing individual artist grants. Mm-hmm. I got individual artist grants and I would produce posters. So not your typical posters with just dates on them that people throw away. I would produce posters with big old picture Annie Ruth and then my poetry down the side. And I'd stand on the street corners in the West End saying, free posters. Free posters. And one sister actually told me, she said, Annie, I thought you was crazy after talking about free posters. But it turned out to be probably the best marketing strategy that I had ever come up with, because little old ladies was putting my posters in their living rooms. It was in people's offices, and everybody was getting to know who Annie Ruth was, and they was getting exposed to my artwork. And at the bottom was, for booking, call this number.
Oh, now see, let's talk about innovation, because we're talking Women's International Day. And I'm going to take it a step further. A Black woman, one, confident. Two, you didn't wait for anybody to recruit you. You took God's talent and was obedient to it. And now you came up with some creative ways, because, like you said, the galleries weren't, oh, Annie, you wasn't waiting for the gallery to recruit you. Mm-hmm. You created galleries in the churches. You created galleries in community centers. Now you came up with a marketing idea of how to market yourself, because you have these posters, they're free.
Yes.
But then it says, hey, if you want to book Annie Ruth, here's where to call.
Right. Think about it. For a young artist, it didn't make financial sense for me to spend hundreds of dollars in an ad for an Inquirer ad during that time when print media was really up. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense to spend hundreds of dollars on an ad. Somebody pick up a newspaper. When they're done with their newspaper, most people are throwing that away. They were holding on to the posters. Everybody had posters in the classroom, in the churches. Like I said, what shocked me the most was the little old ladies there was one particular famous poem that I did called Ghetto Woman. So during that time, I was wearing braids, had my little sleeveless cuts and going on, little Ghetto Woman poem down the side. So people were like, hey. And so people would come up to other folks like, oh, do you know Annie Ruth? And I'm like, well, no, but you got her big old giant poster on your wall. So it was that promotion is what really catapulted the whole marketing effort through that. I still do the promotional poster to this day because it's so effective, and people don't throw them away.
Wow. So you got some hot sauce on there. We didn't give you, Gina, I gave you a free tip today for those who are entrepreneurs. Now, question people will ask, okay, I'm, I think I'm good with my art. What were the steps? Okay, you got the posters, you got the marketing. How do you institutionalize yourself as an artist?
Well, the good thing is, so I went two routes. So when I first started my business, there was the for-profit side. I met Kathy Wade, who said, Annie, as much as you're doing the arts education and outreach side, you need to have also a nonprofit entity that's associated with you as well. So where if you can't get through the door as a for-profit, then you may get through the door as a not-for-profit. And so that's where a lot of the collaborations with some of the major arts institutions and stuff in the city come through, is through the nonprofit that I've also established, Eye of the Artist Foundation. So that was created back in 2001. So the thing is, don't let yourself be defined by what somebody else's perception of you is. You keep moving forward in spite of.
Mm-hmm. We're talking Annie Ruth. It's International Women's Day, and this month I told you we're gonna give you the behind the scenes of what women go through that are trying to move forward with their dream. You a wife, a mother, and an artist, and a military vet at the same time. It's almost amazing. So one of the things people say about art is that, how do you quantify it? Somebody will draw something, some, people will not, some people will get, $1 million for this art, and someone else might look at it and say, excuse me. So talk about how do you put a price on your art for someone who's listening, who is an artist and wants to know, how do I quantify it?
You really have to know who your market is. When you create something and you put it out there, who is your market? Who are you creating for? And then the thing that even we artists do too is be careful not to undercut yourself too. Now here's the deal. Coming straight out the bat, you never did art before. All of a sudden, you done drew some stick people on a page, and you want to go out there and get $500 for it. Is that realistic? See, as you building up a name for yourself, it's the same thing as working on a company. Mm-hmm. There's value tied into your name. Like, give you an example. People say they might write a children's book and say, hey, I want you to illustrate my children's book. No, you don't want me to illustrate your children's book, because what will happen is you be paying for the name Annie Ruth. I don't sell my copyrights, so there's so many other factors. So there's name, there's reputation, there's quality of work. Give you an example. There's lots of great artists out there, but their work ethic sucks. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing a portrait of you, I promise it to you at such and such date, and I don't deliver on such and such date, I have not only hurt myself as an artist, but as a business person too. So the value of what you do, there's so many other factors, from your name, your goodwill, the time that you spent on something. Like when I first started out, you could have probably bought an original piece of artwork for $100. Mm. You can't buy a piece of original artwork for $100. And you can get lots of reproductions or postcards or something at an inexpensive price. But for me to actually take paint or pen or material to hand, there's typically usually a minimum that artists, and it varies for individual artists.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so you say don't undervalue yourself, but don't, you must deliver. Because that's a big thing. Because, it's, Erykah Badu, that's my girl. She said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive. That was a coined phrase, and I'm sensitive about my stuff. Well, she didn't say stuff. She said another word. Right. But the point is, you sometimes get an artist, you want something. You talked about that. Timeline and deadline is important. You can't say, I got to wait till I'm inspired. And, when I get inspired, you'll get the piece of artwork. Is that something we find a lot of?
We find a lot, and sometimes artists kind of fall into that category of people want to throw you into the lump of you kind of like out there in the field. Really have no business sense. That's why I do a lot of artist mentoring to even people twice my age. Just sharing some of the business aspects, because even when it comes to a performance, if I've booked this person to, and even in your line of work, I booked this person to be there and the crowd's there, right. And the artist ain't there, then it doesn't make any difference. So a lot of times people will go with not necessarily the best or what somebody deems the best or the most popular, but the reliable, consistent is always going to give you quality. One thing I suggest to us visual artists that are creating, look at it, even if you're painting, look at it like, what am I doing to bring through multiple income streams? So not only do I paint, I also provide artistic services. I provide consulting. I provide arts and education connections. So when you're getting
what's artistic services? Because people say,
yeah, artistic services are a combination of, you could be what they call a teaching artist. Not only do you paint, but you're able to teach your craft.
Okay.
So sometimes school districts will book you, or community centers may book you individually to do that. So I'm actually a touring artist with the Cincinnati Arts Association. I developed my own program. One of my popular programs is called What's the Word Read, where it's interactive music, song, and poetry that promotes reading and literacy. So I promote that individually, but I also come under the umbrella of the Artists on Tour program with the Aeronaut Center.
Wow. And so one of the things, would you say, in this field, you have to know everything in the field, right? Not just be like, well, I only, paint per se.
Yeah. Because remember when, I think it was around 2000, when people kind of stopped buying paintings because the funds weren't there. If I didn't have an educational leg to fall back on, I would have been sitting there. I would have probably been the starving artist, twiddling my fingers and thumbs like, oh, what was me? What am I going to do? Yeah.
Right. So it's important that you learn every aspect of whatever field that you're in. Can you tell us maybe a challenging time in your career that you might say, well, man, I know more now because I went through this, but I'd like to share this because, this was a time where I had to make some tough decisions.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that happened to me was, as you begin to, because remember, I'm working a for-profit and I'm working a nonprofit too. And so some of the major organizations that fund arts organizations in the city, in terms of large dollars, when new things come along, people kind of encourage you, oh, you should apply for this grant, or you should apply for this grant, to help your art and outreach that you're doing. And so I saw this grant. It was an organization. It was fairly new. They had some $15,000 grants and some $20,000 grants. But I remember I've been doing this over 30 years. I'm like, I'm not applying for a $20,000 to $15,000. So I applied for the $100,000 grant. Went through the process. Got to the final stages of the process where it was narrowed down to like 3 people. And don't you know, this organization crumbled, tore it up and said, oh, we changing the rules, and totally tore it up, threw it away, threw everybody. You got to start over from line 1.
Wow. Now, I want you to hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to really bring the hot sauce off. So we've been really nice. Annie's told you about her steps that she's had to take, being 1, recognizing that God gave her a talent. Number 2, stepping up and being confident in that talent. Number 3, not making anybody shake the talent. Number 4, expanding everything that needs to be known about the talent. 5, institutionalizing the talent. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 2 set of rules. Now, I know this is International Women's Day, and it's about women all over the world, but that includes women of color. And we've got some 2 sets of rules that's going on, not only in your community, but around the world. And Annie Ruth is going to talk about that when we come right back. When you're qualified and it's still not enough. We come right back on Alicia Reece Soul Food.
The words that describe my father is from the bottom up, because nobody.
Hey, everybody. Let us know
He's our goat.
that you can hear us. I just want to make sure
I need somebody to tell me the
you
truth.
can hear us on our Facebook page.
I go to.
I figured out a long time ago that the greatest profession of all time is ownership. I don't think your dad's afraid of anybody.
He was always there to support us.
Probably the closest thing I can think of to being self-made.
From the bottom up, the Dr. Stephen Reece Sr. Story. Produced and directed by Alicia Reece. Available on YouTube.
Have you or someone you know been in a car, motorcycle, or trucking accident? Time is of the essence. You may be hurt and not even know it. Call the Cochran Firm now in Cincinnati. Founded over 40 years ago by Johnny L. Cochran Jr., the Cochran Firm is one of the premier law firms in the country. They're committed to being your advocate if you've been a victim of a serious injury, car, motorcycle, or trucking accident. Choose a successful, reputable law firm. Don't wait. Call the Cochran Firm right now at 381-HURT. That's 381-HURT. Online at CochranOhio.com.
And we're back with Alicia, Reece, Soul Food in the studio. We're broadcasting live in our studio in Cincinnati, Ohio, WGRI. And in the studio, we got all kind of hot sauce. Today is Women's International Day, and it's Women's Month all month. And I told you I'm going to bring women in who will be able to share their real story. The story before the glory. And we've got Annie Ruth in the studio. Annie is a global artist, and she shared her story. And before we went to break, she talked about when she applied for a grant. And this is the point that I talked about on my show, I think last week or the week before, one of those, when I talked about one of the things in terms of my story. There's a time when you are overqualified, you've met all the requirements, you've done the hard work, you've built yourself from the bottom, you've done and understand your craft. And even when you've done all of that, the rules then are changed. We've seen it with Bennett College. They told them if they raised so much money by a certain time, it was millions, they said they couldn't do it. They did it. They did it in a timely fashion. And they told them, if you did all this, you'll be accredited. And then they came back after they got the money, after they did everything they said do, after they jumped through all the hoops, after they got the right paperwork in. Then they said, you know what? We still not going to accredit you. So we're back here with Annie Ruth. Now, Annie, tell us about you. And a lot of times they have a ceiling on women, in particular women of color. They want you at $10,000. If you give you $10,000, oh man, we really done gave you some money. But when you look at the things that are happening, when they go and commission an art piece, or when they have events, because these venues aren't cheap, right. They got $100,000 budgets. But when African-American, particularly African-Americans and African-American women show up, you got to be at $250, or they give you a $500 sponsorship. If you get 10,000, we really done something for you. You better get the jumper. You got to give me $100,000 worth of an event or something for 10,000. And if you do more than that, you kind of stepped out of your place. So continue, Andy. You went for this. You filled out all the paperwork. You went for the $100,000 grant, and they said, "Hold tight."
Yeah, I mean, totally scratched it, threw it away from start one. And so, some righteous, I'll just be real, some righteous indignation rose. I was mad as hell. That's just the nicest way to put it. But I realized that even being mad as hell, I had to stop back and look at the picture. And at first I wasn't going to apply again. So I applied again to kind of get a feel like, okay, what is this? And so applied again, didn't even make it through that next process. And then something clicked in me. It's like, look, the bottom line is these are private dollars. This is this people's money. And this wasn't city money, it was private money. Yeah. I said, they can do whatever they want to do with their money. And when it's all said and done, and when Annie Ruth does something and it exceeds and excels, I look back, won't nobody get the glory but God in my life. Because you would have known that I had to work and push and do and use just the raw talent and the education and the experience. And I looked at it as that wasn't a door to go through. What really clicked for me was when I went to Africa. I was in Kenya in August of last year, and it was for a women's symposium. And we were there in the city. It was a more impoverished city. But those women had walked, many of them had walked for miles, caught the ferries across the waterways to come there. And there were hundreds of women in the room. And I was about to share my song, My Sister, My Friend. I was telling them the inspiration behind it. And so I looked around the room, did a little gauge. I said, how many people, and I had a little interpreter too, how many people have heard of Yolanda Adams? Out of all those hundreds of women that were in the room, 2 hands went up. I said, wow. Here's the message in that. When we know that God's given us a gift to do something in whatever area that we're in, we have to look beyond, and not saying Yolanda does, she does because she's celebrity, but we have to look beyond being popular or being impactful. That visit changed and transformed those women's lives. And I was hitting women that, as much as we like to think some of the major celebrities hit, sometimes I'm hitting areas that people would never, ever hit. And the book that they're reading is Annie Ruth.
Wow. Popularity versus
impact.
My show, I did a show on that. A lot of people want to be popular, but not many people want to be impactful, because impactful is tough.
It is.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, people might not like you because you want to be impactful.
Mm-hmm. Changing lives.
But it's long lasting. And when you're impactful, God has to be the person that you give the glory to.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, they want to give the glory to somebody else. But when you're impactful, it lasts longer. Mm-hmm. And so now you're getting ready to go back to Africa. Tell us about that.
This particular one is, I have been doing Dada Rafiki since 2005. And I think a lot of people don't realize it was that long. 2005. The first celebration started with me just out there in the community and volunteering and looking around and seeing other sisters, different ages, white, black, rich, poor, working and serving. And so I surprised the honorees. They thought they were coming to an Annie Ruth art exhibit that first year. They were coming to support me. They didn't realize they were coming to be honored. Wow. And so that was the first of honoring the women. That second year, we moved it to the Community Action Agency. And during that year, I believe the project had went over budget, and they were dogging Gwen in the media. Oh, this project is in the neighborhood, it's over budget. And so I went to her, I said, I have a method of how we can get some, thousands of dollars worth of art donated to your facility. And the art is still there even today. I said, we're going to bring in Yolanda Adams, because she was my favorite girl, to speak and to share. And during that year, she shared with people, dream big. So full catapult all the way up here to 2019. I'm looking at moving Dada Rafiki to a more international scope. And so I'm traveling to Nigeria to honor women there and for a cultural exchange. And because I have the capacity to have like 6 large bags, I said, I'm not going to pack 6 large bags. I'm going to fill them with school supplies. And so I'm doing a school supply drive to take to the children in Nigeria in the schools there. Right. This will be my first time traveling to actually Nigeria, but I've been to Kenya a lot.
Wow. So I wanted to bring that up because it's International Women's Day, and you're talking about, sometimes we got to take our vision and make it international, because there's women all over the world who, are looking to empower themselves and certainly need encouragement. I want to thank you for having me as one of your honorees for Dada Rafiki and all the women that you honor all the time, and bring us in a classy and wonderful event in a wonderful way. And then I even have my own card. You couldn't tell me nothing more. Annie Ruth, I said, forget Hallmark and Gibson cards. My card is out. Yes. Alicia Reece got her own card, the Annie Ruth collection. I was sending cards everywhere. You can't tell me nothing. I've been on a card now, ladies and gentlemen. So tell us now, so you're going to be going to Africa
at the end of this month.
At the end of this month, and tell us, this is International, Women's Day and month, Women's Month. But I just wanted to have your story out here, because people see you, people recognize your art, but they not necessarily know the story that you behind it, the fight that you have to go through. Tell us this. This is one thing I want to talk about, is that when they commission people to do pieces, you get that. Basically, commission means they've already given you the budget. How is that for African American artists?
The key is our African Americans that are in key positions have to change their mindset. I see a lot of times, Black folks in large corporations, and they're raising money for these larger, mainstream organizations, and forgetting about it's really a lot of the grassroots organizations that are really impacting the community. But it's those people that sometimes have the decision and power to say, we're going to have this artist. Give you an example. And it wasn't even an African American that did this. When they were building the new child care for Procter & Gamble and Children's Hospital, there was a Caucasian architect in the Roselawn area who said, we're building this building. Our artist is going to be Annie Ruth, because he had seen a poster I had done for Roselawn in the late 90s. And then so with that, I had I think it was like a $35,000 budget to do that. And I was actually creating the art as they were building the building. There are a lot of, can I just be real? There are a lot of
Bring the hot sauce. We don't have a couple more minutes, but I want some hot sauce.
Here comes the hot sauce. There are a lot of Black folks in key positions who have the ability to make the decisions. We got to start trusting each other a little bit more. There are some great artists out here, great educators, great people in general. Those of us who have the decisions to make on these money-making endeavors have to take a chance and trust somebody that we're going to get it done, and we'll change the world.
Wow, now that's some real hot sauce, because we have people, when you get to these positions, there's a lot of people get to these positions. And I'm not saying that there's sometimes somebody above them and put them there to be what they call a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they do a good job. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals should get them because they do an excellent job of blocking Black folks from participating. Now, on the flip side, like you said, Black folks have to deliver. You got to make sure you get the right one. Don't run out and just get anybody. Say, we just need somebody Black. You know, everybody, talent, ability, and delivery service is not the same. You know, you have bad problems sometimes with non-Black businesses that don't deliver. So you have to do your research. But you're right. When you get in these positions, we got to recycle dollars in the community. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. And we have to make sure, too, one thing I noticed, too, be careful as you do become more proficient and great at what you do. There will be people who will seek you out just to kind of say, well, I consulted this person to get your name on a project that they're doing, and it don't have nothing to do with you or nothing to do with bringing Black dollars to the community.
So they just use your name. They do a meeting and then they write a report.
Yeah, be careful of that folks who just want a Black face on something.
Right.
But can I give a shout out though?
Yes.
There is a great organization, and it's the Cincinnati Arts Association, who runs the Aronoff Center.
Yes.
The partnership with Donna Rafiki was, hey, look, you're a mainstream organization. Eye of the Artist is grassroots. You need to get more Black folks in your institution, and we need to work together to partner. And so for the last 3 years, I have partnered with the Cincinnati Arts Association to produce Donna Rafiki, to truly bring a multicultural audience that is reflective of our globe there.
So partnerships are important.
Yes.
And like you just said, that's the type of partnerships that you want to see, people working together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that you're able to have that type of partnership. Where can people, if we want to give you supplies before you leave, where can they give them?
If you have physical supplies, you can actually drop them off at the Summit Center over New Prospect, 1580 Summit Road. My art studio is over there. A lot of people have been giving online. We're doing a Facebook donation campaign, or if you want to leave a donation over at New Prospect, they'll make sure that we get it.
What's the Facebook? Where do you go on Facebook?
Facebook, actually just go to the Annie Ruth page on Facebook, my Annie Ruth page, and you'll see the fundraiser kind of flowing there. And we're going to get those supplies into those young folks' hands, and it's going to be awesome, encouraging some young up-and-coming artists in Nigeria.
Well, I'm excited. Maybe one day I'll go with you to Africa at some point and be a part of this. But I think the key thing in the future is that we've got to connect globally.
Yes.
Because they've got all kind of roadblocks locally. And locally, they will stop your financing. They'll call the bank, or they'll call the grant folks or the foundation folks, or the mentality is so small. You know, it doesn't matter if Annie Ruth gets more and more accolades. You still stay at the $10,000 category.
Well, that's when you transcend. I have to give a shout out to Dr. Tanya Matthews when she was here at the Museum Center. My first trips to Kenya was because of her. They simply met with me and said, hey, we need help getting art with children. And it turned out to be children in Africa. But that was through an international grant through the State Department. So collaboration is the key. But do your homework. Have a very strong entity. Donna Rafiki has a national registered trademark. So nobody else can be producing Donna Rafiki celebrations, and not legally without being sued. You know, so make sure we're doing the homework and we're protecting our rights. That's a lot of things that artists don't do. Protecting through copyright and through trademark and patent. If you believe that what you have is special, and which it is, protect it.
Wow. Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Annie, for being on the show and this International Women's Day, where we're just not talking symbolism. See, I'm trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
whole lot of symbolism with no action, a whole lot of symbolism without any funding, a whole lot of, I'm going to recognize you and put a pat on the back, but not going to use your business. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's giving certificates and awards.
Right.
You know,
dollars.
We need some cash apps and some bank accounts going, and then we can say, how wonderful of an occasion. So I think that does it for us. Are we wrap it up? Okay, that does it for us. Alicia Reece Soul Food. Annie Rue put some hot sauce on it. She's on her way to Nigeria. And Annie Rue said, get your stuff together. We got to collaborate. We got to recognize. And we got to have the courage. Yes. When we in a position, don't be there if you can't do nothing. Don't sit in the seat talking about I'm on the board.